All right, Tim, we're live. How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing phenomenal, man. You scared me there for a second. Brian, you got hair. What the heck is that all about?
Yeah, yeah. I'm at my church. Like it looks like I'm in your studio,
It
but I
does.
set up the same studio for my pastor,
Yeah.
and it's it's kind of cool. I got a better camera, and I think I look a little clear. You look like crystal clear. Like this is the first time I
Yeah.
think you and I are both crystal clear, good audio, everything. So
Win-win. What the
now that
heck?
we got everything figured out, the market is in the toilet.
It doesn't always help. You get all your shit together. We're finally ready to hit it, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
so what's
So
going
I saw a
on?
stat today that mortgages are down at a 28-year low.
You mean mortgage origination, right?
Yeah, which includes
Not rate.
refis, but like, new purchase mortgage origination,
Yeah.
28-year low.
Yeah.
And it's brutal, man. Like
Yeah.
these interest rates are finally stunning people and they're finally hurting.
Well, I think it's really doing three things. So let's kind of hit on it right away. Ready? Number one, we're seeing a lot of cash purchases, which is kind of wild. Now, a lot of folks using their cash, taking the money out of the stock market. There's a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace. A lot of older people are selling their homes. They're netting a lot of cash. The cash they're
Yeah,
netting, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna pay cash. So that's number
right.
one, right? Number two, you're right. Interest rates have gone through the roof, and the problem there is that the affordability. We talked about this before. Who can afford a house at 7%? It's a challenge,
It
right? And
is.
then number three, inventory. There's just nothing out there more. It's
Right.
what it's down to. So yeah, it's crazy.
So what is your prediction for the future for the fall, winter
Yeah.
2023, 2024?
Well, so I'll give you an idea. I just bought two more cords of firewood. I'm gonna be
I was
split
thinking more like the real
double.
estate market, like in
Oh,
not
oh,
necessarily
oh,
Tim Murphy's
yeah.
personal household.
Yeah, because I was watching the caterpillars go across, the woolly caterpillars, the more woolly they are, the colder the winter is going to be. I mean, honestly, I really think we're going to have a slowdown this last quarter of 2023. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace. I think it's not just house purchases, but I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the world in general. Ukraine, Russian war going on, Chinese, Taiwan situation happening over there, and just a lot of overall uncertainty in the overall just international marketplace in general. We've got the European marketplace beginning to dive into a recession, so that's been a challenge. So overall, I think we're going to see a slowdown. Now, where's interest rates going to go? Brian, I remember you and I did a study on that. Where are rates going?
Rates are actually higher than what they predicted if they were going to get to 10. Because, what I hear everybody say all the time is, oh, they're going to go down to 5. They're going to go down to 5. So I
Yeah,
heard the Fed say they're not committing to lowering rates. They're not committing to not raising rates. I
right.
think somebody said there's a 25% chance they're going to raise rates again before the end of the year. Is that possible?
It is possible. So let's kind of really kind of drill down. So the inflationary model that they've been using has not shown they've dropped down to 2%. That's their focus point, and we may not get there. And so the only way to do it is to put more brakes on the economy. They're doing it for other reasons too, though, Brian. They're trying to suck some of the liquidity out of the marketplace. They gave away too much money in 20 and 21. You
Yep.
know that during the
Yep.
pandemic. Here's the kicker. You ready? The federal deficit is going to be double, double from last year, dude.
What do you mean?
The federal deficit that we are experiencing right now, we have so much debt as a government. We're going to have to issue so much more paper, so much more, not mortgage backed paper, treasury bonds. So the 10-year treasury rate has gone through the roof, dude. And I know this sounds nuts, but no, the 10-year treasury is just about 4.3. But the kicker is the 2-year treasury, which means what interest rates did. Okay, this is the wild part. You ready? 2-year treasuries. Okay, they hit
I mean,
five.
this a little bit Greek to me, Tim. What does this have to do with like
Oh, here's
help
the key.
bridge the
So,
gap to the
so
regular Americans who
yeah,
don't know how that has anything to do with anything.
So a 2-year rate has hit 5%. What 5% means in a nutshell is that you and I can go out and get a CD right now, right? At 6%, 7%. It's wild what you can get a CD at, right? But what that's telling you is that short-term money is going to get more expensive. That means interest rates are going to go up short term, already predicted. When we hit 5%, that's a massive ceiling that we've broken through. Same thing with the 10-year treasury, 4.3. Brian, just 2 years ago, we were 1.3. Dude, it's almost tripled. Actually, it has tripled. It's going even more than that, right? So the prediction is because of the federal debt, we're going to have to still sell a lot of debt. Chinese aren't buying it. The international folks aren't buying it. The Saudis and the Indians and the Brazilians, they're pulling back. The Russians hate us. Let's face it. We know what's going on there, right? So ultimately, and we're not buying any Chinese goods. They're not making stuff. I mean, you see what's going on over there. So ultimately, what that means is higher interest rates short term. We'll start to see interest rates come down in the spring. That's my prediction.
So higher interest rates short term, what is that going to do for the housing market?
It's going to slow down.
Meaning that
values are not going to drop, though. Don't think that. Well, I take it back. The affordable values won't drop because there's no affordable homes. The middle class homes, I think, will stay flat. The higher end, yeah, we'll start to see a little bit of coming down on the higher end. You know what I
so
mean?
you're saying that for the first time in forever, I feel like I'm singing the Frozen song. For the first time in forever, we're
I
gonna
think,
we're gonna see house prices coming down.
well, I think the high
Like,
end.
when was the last time we saw house prices coming down? We saw this little smidgen last year. I believe
Well,
between October and November of last year, we saw this little
yeah,
thing. And
price came 08, 2008.
08,
Yeah, 15 years ago, man. Yeah.
for the first time since 2008, you think we're going to see house prices actually lower?
Exactly right. Coming down.
Wow.
And I think that's going to happen, but there's still no inventory. I mean, inventory is the driver. You and I, but people still need houses, right? I saw an article that said nearly 10% of Americans are still moving.
Yep. Is this a dangerous situation in any way? Is this like a problem in any way? Is there any sort of like thing that if you're a regular homeowner thinking about
Yeah.
buying, selling the next 5 years, you need to think about or be aware of? Or
I think, and this is something that we have to really look out long term. My biggest concern is that the American dream in general may be moving away from the general public. Does that make sense?
yeah, I saw a headline from the CEO of I can't remember which builder it was, KV, whatever it was.
Mhm.
They said they're looking at a 10-year bull market for builders. They don't see anything slowing like builders down for 10
No.
years.
No, because Brian, the houses that are out there, they're not great quality. And people are looking around saying, you know what? If I'm going to do it and I'm going to go all in, I might as well go ahead and buy the house. And I'll tell you, and this is crazy, Brian, but when they raise the maximum conventional or FHA loans in certain counties to over $1,089,000, what's that tell you? Dude, prices are just going to go up, man.
So I feel like what you're going to end up having is a gap of time where houses weren't built, you know, like 2019, they stopped building or
Yeah.
whatever. And then it's going to be however long until we see a lot of houses built, because I think if you looked at how many builds were, I'm looking at like Maryland and Southern Maryland.
Sure.
We had a housing boom in 80s, 90s, early 2000s. And then right around 2015, after the crash,
Just
there's
stop.
been a few neighborhoods, but a
Yeah.
lot of builders are getting out of here. I know
Well,
several builders who are just like, we're leaving Southern Maryland.
let me ask you this: how much land is still available?
Well, that's part of it. I would say that that's probably more specific to Calvert County. I think in Charles County, where you're at, they're a little more open to new construction, but there's other
Yeah,
factors involved. You got to build schools. You have to have the
right.
infrastructure in place. But it doesn't look like there's sort of a bend towards building new construction here,
No,
and it doesn't seem
no.
like the housing crisis is going to get solved through increasing supply through the new construction side of it. And with interest rates going up, people are less inclined to sell their house. I just think it's going to be cruddy for all parties involved. And I'll just leave you with this, right? So I was talking to my clients last night. They're getting ready to put their house on the market. I said, listen,
Finally,
it's a seller's market but
Yeah.
I just want to kind of give you the vibe, okay? 2019 and 20, everybody was having a good time. Tim's having a good time. I'm having a good time.
Party up, man.
The sellers are having a good time.
Oh yeah, you know it.
Buyers are having a great time. They're buying a $600,000 house with $33,000 payment. You know, they're upgrading. Everybody's having a good time, and everybody was okay with it. Nobody felt like, you know, buyers were fine, sellers were fine.
Right.
Now it feels like sellers are okay. They're still able to like go through a deal, but buyers are feeling brutalized a little bit.
Oh yeah.
You know, they don't have it's different because you have a little more time to buy your house now. It's not like you have 5 offers on the table and you have to beat up 5 people to buy your house. So from that perspective, it's better. But the payment is so high, they're feeling a lot of pressure. And I would just say at the settlement table,
Mhm.
there's the vibe is not the same. People are not having as good of a time. This doesn't feel like
No.
it's like a lot of people that are selling, they have to sell. This is not
Sure.
like, hey, let's go buy waterfront now because we got
Right.
all this equity. It's like people are just sort of moving because they have to, and most people are trading into a worse situation. They're selling their 3% mortgage and buying a 7%
Well,
mortgage.
I'll caveat with one thing, and I want you to think about this. Ready? I
Yeah.
do have a lot of clients that bought starter homes in lower end areas, lower
And
end.
they're putting a lot of cash down, so it's not
Yeah.
as painful.
And
But I
and
just feel like I don't know whether it's the whole world or whether it's just the real, because the other thing is the lenders and the real estate agents are not having as good of a time. Like our businesses all together are down 60%.
you
Like
remember I
we're
had
feeling
hair.
the pain. Yeah, you know, what I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of had hair too. No, I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
didn't. But I'm just saying, like we're having a little bit of a hard time.
Sure.
Buyers are still having a hard time. Sellers are not having a terrible time, but their houses are not selling as fast. They're starting to pay closing costs. They're having to
Yep.
go through inspection process,
You're right, man.
and they're taking contingent offers. I got like
Yeah.
3 of them right now, so they're not having a great time either. You know what I
No.
mean?
And I think that's going to cause a little bit of a bottleneck. Now I'm going to leave you with one last thought, and I want
All
you
right,
to think
here's
about
Tim's
this.
last thought.
You ready?
Last thought with Tim Murphy.
So it's going to be 7 to 10 years before this market corrects itself.
Okay, so let me ask you this: when is it? When is it that Tim and Brian are going to be having a flourishing? When is the real estate market going to be flourishing?
Honestly, I think 25 is going to be a good year. I really do.
What's
I
going
think
to cause that?
I think we're going to see, a new presidential, group coming in.
Tim, you're going to lead off with the new
No,
president
no, no,
is
no.
going
Yeah,
to
I
make
am.
life better.
I am, and
Okay.
I'm not even picking a party. Okay, you understand that? I'm not picking a party on
So
this.
no matter who's the president, it's better
It's
than
not-
it is now. You know, Joe Biden is running.
I know. Well, yeah, that's another story. But my point of the matter is this. Look, you know what? Regardless of who gets in, I think the recognition is that we're going to have to re-stimulate the economy. And I think 25 is going to start to be a turnaround time. But I don't think we're going to find balance until the builders build. Okay. And until the folks that do have all the equity and have these houses are ready to sell. And that means rates will have to come down. And I think we will.
They don't
see
have
rates
to
come down.
though, because everybody keeps saying they have to, and I just want to point out they don't have to.
Okay, they don't have to. You're right. They don't. But in order for sellers to sell, there's only two, and we've talked about this. There's two groups that I think that are going to be buying in the next 3 to 5 years.
Job reload
Okay,
and
okay. So now I have three.
and got married and have kids.
Right. So you ready? Folks that have equity in their house that maybe bought a townhouse for $1.25, they can sell for
Yeah.
300, and they're looking at this saying, "Hey, not only can I sell my house, make 150, pay off all of my debt, buy a new house, and the new mortgage payment, even though it's at 7%, is still less than what I was paying with my current mortgage and the current debt payments I was paying."
Maybe.
And I think that group is going to sell. And I think the other group, and I think you're going to think I'm nuts, you ready? Are the older individuals who have a lot of equity in their house. And they're
They
going
want
to
to get out of Maryland and go to Tennessee,
well,
Texas,
no,
Florida.
or maybe want to get
South
out and
Carolina.
get into more of an independent living, housing program where they don't have as much care and maintenance because they're like, you know what, I'm done with this 4,000 square foot home.
Yeah, that
I
happens
don't need a
lot.
house this big. I'm 67, 69.
So nothing terrible,
No,
nothing great.
No. So exactly. So why is it going to be 7 to 10 years? Inventory, 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 right?
Yeah, we'll talk about the next video.
Yeah. All right, man. Good to see you,
All right,
brother, as
Tim.
always.
Good to see you, brother.
Cheers.
Thank you, man.
All right.